Make sure I was at least healthy for that.
Yeah, trust me, I haven't been feeling my self at the moment recently. I talked to my therapist, and they think they found an issue with me that I didn't realize, and it was too big of a dick. Welcome to Otherworldly, a podcast designed to befuddle the mind. We're starting right now. We are. Sorry to hit you like that. Fucking surprise attacked you, but I didn't record any of what you stated up until I started talking just a moment ago. But thank you for dropping by, and like always, in front of me through my screen, beyond wires and electricity and power, lies a being, my co-host, Plague. How you doing, Plague?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
You were just telling me that you were sick, but you're doing better, which is good. Don't think it's COVID. That's fantastic. Glad to hear it, because there's nothing more worse than having to worry about the COVID.
Yeah.
Fucking getting you.
Yeah, it's always in the back of my mind since I got it for the first time last year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So.
But are you excited?
I am.
Because
I am.
I have a smattering of things.
Ooh.
I have the Kentucky Goblins.
Yeah, I
hinted about them last time. I talked about them, that we were going to get to it this time. Got the Kentucky Goblins. Got a few good true crime stories, but I also have some very exciting cryptid news as well. A fun little thing I didn't expect to actually see, but it appeared in my feed, and it was absolutely very fun to think about, because I didn't think anybody would actually do such a thing other than West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Leaving a little bit of mystery about the story. I like it.
It's not even that big of a story. It's more of just a claim that happened.
Okay.
And I think we could start with that one before we hit the true crime, which is, I think we'll hit you with this little cryptid news, and then we'll hit the true crime, and then we'll get to the Kentucky Goblins here, because golly, it's a good feeling when I read it, which is, it is Westmoreland, wherever that is at. Westmoreland, it's Bigfoot country, essentially.
Okay.
It's that good area that, I think it's in, let's see here. Yeah, it's Derry Boruff. Derry Boruff mayor declares Bigfoot as official cryptid.
Oh.
So this place, surprisingly enough, Derry Boruff's mayor Grant Nicely issued the proclamation. It was about probably 2 weeks ago at this point, that Bigfoot is now their official cryptid of Boruff. It says, by proclaiming Bigfoot as our official cryptid and establishing Derry as a sanctuary, we are embracing our local folklore and the rich history that makes our community unique, said Council Vice President Nathan Bundy. So this is very exciting, because I like the idea that people are claiming cryptids now as like their state or city cryptid. You know, like how if you look at the Buckeye tree in Ohio or whatever, like that's the
Mothman.
Yeah, like you have your state bird, you have your state flower, then out of nowhere, I want our state cryptids to start coming out. I think that's awesome to think about, to be like, no, for this state, it's Bigfoot. For this city, it's Bigfoot. West Virginia, they got their Mothman. But Derry Boruff, mayor, pretty much says that this is a Bigfoot sanctuary. Which is, I like
how his name is Nicely.
Yeah, Nicely.
So you got Nicely and Bundy.
Yeah,
there.
Grant Nicely, he issued this proclamation that Bigfoot is, in fact, their fun little county cryptid. And they're just embracing that shit.
Cool.
That's fucking awesome to actually hear about, because they said, according to Boruff, the decision to make the proclamation was a highlight of rich history of reported supernatural activity in Chestnut Ridge area, which dates all the way back from like 1970s, like the 1970s all the way back. So this is like 50 years of their folklore and tradition and reported sightings.
Mm-hmm.
So that is actually very fun to hear about. So I thought I'd
Yeah.
just bring that up because it's cool to actually see somebody, a part of the government, just being like, yeah, you know what? Well, Bigfoot's our county cryptid. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that no, I honestly do believe that that is really really cool because it adds something else to an area other than, oh, this is our state bird, this is our, or this is our the food for the area, this is that.
Yeah, like our main
It
dish. It's like, what's your
yeah,
main dish here in like Dallas? You're like barbecue ribs, backyard barbecue. Like out of nowhere, you're just like, yeah, backyard barbecue ribs. Oh, state flower. Yeah, it's a tulip. Then it's just like state cryptid, and you're looking at them and be like,
excuse me.
state cryptid, chupacabra. Huh.
Oh,
I think that's pretty fun to think about, though. It's a very
yeah,
fun thing to be like, here it is.
it has some mysticism to the area.
Yeah, and like they stated, it's connected to their folklore history, which is also
Yeah.
fun to think about because folklore, that sort of stuff, that connects deeper than just, time. That's history, and history is people and the land. It's everything. So that's also just really fun.
Yeah. No, I feel like more people need to get on board with that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
It's embracing the weird side of the history of a place.
The only reason, and I'll break the veil here. I live in Ohio, and Ohio's a weird fucking place. But there is an Ohio mayor. I can't remember who he's the mayor of. It might be
Oh,
Columbus or something like that. But he is a heavy, like sci-fi cryptid guy. Where his TikTok is amazing, and he's
yeah,
like
he's
known as the cryptid mayor of Ohio, where he like will stand there.
Lovecraftian mayor, dude.
Yeah, the Lovecraft. That's him. He's an Ohio
Yeah.
mayor, and he points at this brick wall. He's just like, "Don't go beyond the wall." Like it's like he's like the space in between. Like it's really funny to see that though.
Yeah, no, it is. Like I followed that guy, and I don't know if he might have gotten mixed up in the sauce of a bunch of different people, but I loved his videos. I absolutely loved watching his videos about making the area that he was a mayor of mystifying, cool, and being nerdy at the same time with it, and giving history about the area.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about it as well. And we can go deeper into more of dry pussy territory and talk about like how the WWE does things, like how we talk about when we watch WWE and we're like, why don't they throw back in the ideas of like hell, ghosts, the Undertaker? We
Mhm.
needed that more mysticism, and they have that with the Wyatt Six coming in, and that's what's exciting about it as well.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and I hope that more people take note of this and give people a reason to like where they live.
Yeah, because other than, your state bird and your state flower and your best dish that is served in your area, it's a little more fun to add something to really be like, oh, this gives me a reason to go to the state park and maybe we might catch a glimpse of something. Oh, let's
Yeah,
go and walk about the area and see what people think and like try to connect with than just dishes, plants in the state bird or animal or whatever it is, and just be like, how did you hear about, like the Florida grass man? You're like, oh, I didn't hear about that. Like, it's fun to have that little bit of that history that's just a little obscure and strange out there.
yeah.
But let's go to some real monsters.
Ooh,
Let's go to
that transition.
Texas. Pastor
Sorry,
of
Sean.
Texas megachurch reportedly admits inappropriate sexual behaviors after a woman alleges abuse from age 12, meaning this has been happening for a very, very long time.
So I'm gonna ask a question
Yes.
before you continue.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna ask a question. I'm gonna let it unfold, and you can answer the question or prove me right or wrong. I have a feeling that this is one of those snake churches. You know
I
what I'm
didn't I
talking
didn't
about?
fully read about snake churches, but we can see what it is here. But I have the image of the I want to get his full thing down, and don't worry about spaces, it'll be edited out if we like stop talking for a bit here. Okay, yeah, his name is Robert Morris.
Hmm.
He is a part of the Gateway Church, and he's a senior pastor in the Gateway Church. Robert Morris has been accused by a woman of molesting her when she was 12 years old, according to local media outlets. Robert Morris, he kind of, I know you were just talking about, is it one of those snake churches where they're doing the spinning and talking in tongues? He looks like a snake in a way. Like you can tell by the way he is. Like he has like the
Hmm.
narrow eyes. He has like
I
the
just looked him
stare.
up.
Here, I got you right here. This is what the man looks like himself. He looks like a liar. He looks like a politician, which is
He,
unfortunately, a bad comparison of what you don't want to be held to.
it's one of those mega churches.
It is. It is one of those mega churches, and it's called the Gateway Church. It is very much been there since the 1980s.
Hmm.
It's been there for a long time. It's in their blood. It's a part of the foundation now. Texas megachurch pastor Robert Morris has admitted he had inappropriate sexual behavior, so he has admitted to it. This isn't an investigation. They're investigating what is going on, but he is not trying to deny it. He has made the claim inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in the 1980s, according to the statement from Morris obtained by local ABC affiliate WFAA. The pastor's admission comes after a woman's accusations of him of molesting her when she was 12 years old. Morris, who is a senior pastor, he actually founded this place, Gateway Church in the Dallas area. So this was in the Dallas area in Texas around in the 2000s, according to the church's website. The church now has several locations across Dallas Fort Worth. So they have many locations to be at.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you know Texas.
Hmm. I do.
Tex-
I lived there for a time.
Yeah, Texas, they can get church crazy, especially in the Fort Worth area, as you can tell, because if it's 7 mega churches in the Fort Worth area, this has a huge hold on people. Religion is a big thing to many people, but especially in Texas. When you have 7 churches, that tells me that you're extremely successful in what you're doing. And when you have that much power over people, but not only people, but their faith itself, can be a very dangerous combination, because now it becomes less of I'm worshiping God and now more of I'm worshiping the church and the pastor, and what he says goes. It
Yeah.
almost becomes a cult, essentially. And that's what
Yeah.
these mega churches usually do fall under, is cult-like behavior.
Hmm.
It is a dangerous, blurry line.
And it's very blurred.
It is. Because I've read a lot of stories about these mega churches, and a lot of them stem underneath that same branch of sexual abuse at a young age, having a hold on an area for almost 30 to 50 plus years, and that they're ingrained into a society that they can pretty much dig themselves into and not let go until it becomes so dangerous that the authorities get involved, local media get involved. And as you can tell, this woman who was molested at the age of 12, like back in 1982, has now just finally come forward. Practically, 40 years now.
Jeez.
Cindy Clemenshire alleged to WFAA that the abuse started in 1982 and continued for 5 years until 1987, when she told her parents Percy and Morris did not admit to abusing her. So even when she admitted it to her parents, most likely these are older times, so it was a lot of hush hush, and you should kind of feel ashamed about it in a weird way.
Mhm.
And so staying quiet for nearly 40 years had probably taken a toll on her. In his statement, Morris did not mention the name or age of the young lady. He said the inappropriate sexual behavior started in his early 20s and in a home where I was staying. That was a quote from him. So he was in their home, essentially. He lived with these people. He had the trust of these people, and he started doing this. And stating it was kissing and petting and not intercourse, but it was wrong. This behavior happened on several occasions over the next few years, Morse stated. In March of 1987, the situation was brought to light and it was confessed and repented. He continued the statement, I submit myself to the elders of Shady Grove Church and the young lady's father. They asked me to step out of the ministry and receive counseling and freedom ministry, which I did. Since that time, I have walked in purity and accountability in the area. Morris added that he and his wife met the young lady and her family in 1989 per CNN. I asked for their forgiveness and they graciously forgave me, he said. So 2 years later, him and his wife confront this family, go up to them and then start asking for forgiveness just 2 years after all of this, after the 5 years of doing all these things. And now he... I know it's a nasty thing to talk about. It's a very
I'm biting
squirmish
my
thing.
lip.
Yeah, it's very squirmish to think about.
Yep, it is. It, like, obviously there was some underlined issue with the lady coming out about it later, talking about it still. And, you know, it's all well and good. And I'm using this sarcastically. I'm saying it sarcastically. It's all well and good that the parents forgave him, but, like, did they even bother to see how their daughter would feel or do with that thought process? And it stuff like this just it just goes to show you how blind people are to situations that they don't want to believe is they don't want to believe is true, so they'll just try to sweep it under the rug as much as they can.
But that's the thing. It was just brought up like a few weeks ago. I don't know. I think it was him that brought it up, though. It says pastor of Texas megachurch reportedly admits to it. So this is years later, even after the forgiveness, even after he's doing all this stuff, you know, he just comes back and he's still doing his thing here. He's still doing megachurch. And I don't know if he's trying to spin this as if, look, you can be evil, and now look at where I'm at here, and I haven't done anything since. I think that's what he's trying to do. Because there's no other reports of him of doing this. This was like the only report of his thing, but why would he bring it up after like 30 plus years?
It does feel like he's trying to tell people there's a way to absolve themselves of what they do no matter what. It's kind of that thing that I was led to believe when I was younger of, oh, if you do something bad, better, you know, pray for forgiveness because that's the only way that you can make amends for what you did.
Yeah.
And after you do that, then everything is going to be okay. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And it states here, Clemshire told WFAA that her family forgave Morris, but they did not support him returning to the ministry. Morris and a spokesperson of Gateway Church did not immediately respond to People's request for comments. People's being the
People's Magazine?
Yeah, like the news. It's called People's. In a statement to WFAA, Gateway Church said Morris underwent a lengthy restoration process. Pastor Robert has been open and forthwith about his moral failures, and over 35 years ago, when he was in his 20s and the prior to him starting in the Gateway Church, the church said in the statement he has shared publicly from the pulpit the proper biblical steps he took to his lengthy restoration process, meaning he just told people what the biblical steps of his recovery to this. And I think that's kind of my issue with this huge thing. It's almost as if he's wording himself as if he is a victim. As if he's like, look what I had to go through. Look at the steps I took to do this thing. Don't worry about the girl. Nobody has to think about it. I stopped doing all that. But nobody asked about the child. Nobody asked about the girl and how she felt. Because it stated that Clement Shire's family forgave him, but did not support. But did she forgive him? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It never states this, which is very sad. But luckily, it does state at the bottom of all of this, it says, if you or someone you know has been a victim of sexual abuse, text STRENGTH to the crisis text line at 741-741 to be connected to a certified crisis counselor, which I would say do it, if that's what it comes down to also. Like, if you feel as if you don't have a voice or freedom of yourself, tell somebody, call somebody, do anything you can. Don't be a victim about it. I tell myself every day, I will not be a victim because I refuse to be a victim. I won't be. I'll tell people exactly what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. If I feel that there's an injustice, don't sit there and just slowly let it eat away at you and let that issue get further and further away, because the further and further it gets from you and the further and further you wait in time, the less likely you will see the justice that you want to have while it eats alive. Because though it will feel as if it is still fresh and there, like it happened yesterday, you're sitting there and it happened like months, years ago, and people aren't going to react the way you want them to, and the way you expect them to, and the way you think they're going to react after so long of waiting. Just tell somebody. Just sit there on it for a day, or two, whatever it is.
Whatever you got to do to start to process what happened.
Yeah, and tell somebody. Like I said, that number is, it says text STRENGTH to crisis text line 741-741. And you will be connected to a certified crisis counselor.
And do it. Do make sure that you get that out there. Get that off your chest. People will believe you. People will listen, especially those people. So,
like I said, don't let it consume you. Don't let it drown you, essentially. Speaking of drowned, man who drowned ex-girlfriend in toilet in a fit of rage gets life in prison.
That's one hell of a swirly.
I like how monotoned you are at this moment, where you're just like, I need like 5 minutes to comprehend this. This can be taxing on for the listener, this can be taxing on many people. For us, though, we'll gladly look at these news stories.
Yeah.
Robert Holton was convicted of murdering Kayla Gloucester, 22, when he learned she had been spending time with another man, says prosecutors. This guy, my God.
Let's see.
A Florida man, he is a Florida man.
So
look at this dude.
Wow.
Yeah, he just looks like a guy, honestly.
Yeah, he just looks like a dude.
Yeah, black dude with dreads. He has like a 5 o'clock shadow along the face, but a longer beard on the chin. Like, he looks, he's,
looks like a guy.
Regular dude. A Florida man has been sentenced to life in prison after being found guilty of stabbing, beating, and drowning his ex-girlfriend in a toilet bowl in a fit of jealous rage, prosecutors said. On Thursday, Robert Holton was sentenced to life in prison for the for the November for the November 2013 murder. That's a weird way they stated it, like it was a big thing. Of Kayla Gloucester, 22, of Homestead NBC Miami reports he was spared the death penalty by juniors, the Miami Herald's report. The sentence came down after Holton was found guilty of first-degree murder and first-degree arson for stabbing Gloucester and then drowning her because another man was interested in spending time with her, prosecutors said. On the day Gloucester was killed, Holton had gone to her apartment where he and Gloucester had sex. Prosecutors said in the court. The Herald reports this as well. After he learned she had spent time with another man, he beat her, Miami assistant stated. Attorney Scott Worfman said the Herald reported he stabbed her, strangled her, and then he drowned her. He also set fire to her mattress, authorities said, which is, I don't know if he lit it on fire to conceal the DNA or if he lit it on fire because where he had sex, that area, that bed that he probably saw as like a sanctity or a sanctification between the two was now sullied, so he burned it. Like if he had like this biblical thought to himself. Because
see, I think I'm thinking a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and
Yeah.
we're not trying to justify this.
No, we're not trying to justify. I'm just curious why set fire to just the mattress. He didn't try to burn anything else. He didn't try to burn her. He just lit the mattress on fire. So that's the one thing. Maybe he thought he could catch the rest of the building on fire, the rest of the apartment on fire. I feel like maybe it was like a betrayal thing, and he just burned it out of the ideas of being like, this is where it happened. This is where she betrayed me. I'll fucking burn this memory. Like, he's like, this is something that he's like trying to create some form of vengeance over in a weird way. That's what I'm just getting or thinking about.
Yeah, I think really that the arson that's what threw me through a loop. It was just like, okay, now it's getting worse, and then you said, and then arson. I was like, well, we're getting even worse.
This is a direct quote. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
He had been rejected for years by the object of his affection and obsession, he said. Affection and obsession. He's willingly admitting that he only didn't have affection, he was obsessed with this person. Or he was rejected for years by the object of his affection and obsession. I don't know if that's her or somebody else, and as soon as he made a connection with this new person, they became that idea of affection and obsession, and the idea that she was taken from him in any way caused this fit of rage that was stabbing, strangulation, drowning, and then setting fire to the apartment. He did 4 things. 4 specific. He stabbed, strangled, drowned, then set the place on fire.
Being obsessed is not good.
That's what I put in it. Yeah, being obsessed is not good.
No, it's just there's just no way. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, there's people think that they want to have somebody that obsesses over them and thinks about them constantly, but sometimes it leads to this, you know. Like, and I'm not saying that it's in any way, like I said, not saying it's her fault at all. It's just, homie has problems. Arson, stabbing. He stabbed, strangled.
Yeah, stabbed,
and
strangled.
drowned her.
Yeah, and then he burnt the place. He set the bed on fire. Yeah.
The mental gymnastics that man was going through, dear God. Okay, yeah.
In a jealous rage. Could you get so mad?
No. I couldn't get that mad.
I'm just sitting here just thinking about it. Could I even get that mad? And I'm never mad about much.
No, you really don't get mad.
Because
I honestly,
even if the one person I truly love, Mari, betrayed
yeah,
me in some way, all I can do is probably cry and
yeah.
then just shut myself away. For many years, I'd probably shut myself away.
Like, not even just shut yourself away. I mean, you would eventually heal, but like, you would be angry.
I'm not saying that Mari would ever do that. It's just
Yeah,
because I could
it,
never see myself leaving her. And the only
yeah.
way to be in a jealous rage to create that scenario, if it were to be ever that thing, I don't think I could. I think I would be angry, upset, broken, and then I would you guys probably wouldn't hear from me for like months. I'd probably just shut myself away.
I mean, I, I, I can't say for certain that I've had that happen to me, but I'm pretty sure I did. But it when I found out what I had found out, I shut down. You know, I
Yeah.
it took me a long while to get over it,
Oh yeah.
but I never wanted to bring her harm.
Hey, you know, that's just the way. Just if it comes down to it, just leave. Just
Yeah,
leave.
that,
There have been some.
that's really it.
There have been some family annihilators too,
Yeah.
like the father who can't afford his, like they're going broke, so he can't afford the lifestyle, and they have that idea that they have to kill their family instead of going through the embarrassment of poverty. So they'll just fully kill the whole family before killing themselves, or they're too much of a coward to the point where they don't kill themselves and they just call the police on themselves.
Hmm.
But yeah, he was found guilty in the third trial after 2 mistrials, the Herald reported. Tony Moss, one of Holton's attorneys, said that he was glad the jury spared his client's life. There was much more to Robert Holton on his worthlessness to life than his actions on that particular occasion, Moss said.
So he felt worthless.
Or his
I mean,
worthiness. Sorry.
oh, okay.
It looked like worthlessness. Sorry. There was much more to Robert Holton and his worthiness to his life than actions on that particular occasion, Moss said. NBC Miami reports, obviously the jury agreed with us, and we are very happy about that. Justice was served. Gloucester's mother, Tanglia Johnson, said, NBC Miami reports, today was a win. I really didn't have a preference of what it was, either life or death. I'm satisfied the big victory was guilty. Gloucester's grandmother, Karen Dixon, was glad Holton is heading to prison. Quote from her: he has to suffer like my baby suffered. She told NBC Miami, he's got to suffer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Life in prison.
100%.
They couldn't kill him, so life in prison. Also, if you're experiencing domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233.
Yeah, domestic violence is not a joke.
They are always available 24/7 and have more than 170 languages that they can speak on that line. So no matter your race, and
Sorry.
culture, your language, whatever you are speaking, or whoever you are, 24/7, no matter where you're at, you can call. And again, that's 1-800-799-7233.
Whew.
Yeah.
Uh, and to kind of also put this out there, we will never make fun of the victims of
No,
of a situation like.
yeah, the only reason I even say the victims' names in these is because usually the victims sadly meet an end to their life. And so
Mhm.
that's how I think remembering the victim and the crime that was put onto them and remembering the face of the monster is very important, and to know that the man that the image I sent to play here of this man's face, it can be anybody. It looks like a normal guy.
It really just looks like a normal guy.
I've seen that
almost,
guy a few times. Like, I've seen that exact man walking around at a store, going out to the gas station to pump some gas into his car, and that's a normal guy. And it can be anybody.
Yeah, it's just you never truly know.
Yep.
So, and like you said, you gave that number of the domestic abuse hotline. Please call if you are in that situation.
If you are experiencing domestic, whether mental, emotional, verbal, physical, whatever it is, and you have to get out of there and you feel like you're trapped, please call that hotline.
So,
man pleads guilty to murder after allegedly cutting his wife into more than 200 pieces. Nicholas Metzen, 28, said he paid another man to dispose of her body. After denying that he killed his wife for almost a year, a man from Lincoln, England, has now pleaded guilty to her murder. The 28-year-old Nicholas Metzen originally denied murdering his wife, Holly Metzen, when her body was found in the village of Bassingham, I hope I'm pronouncing it. It should just be Bassingham. And, oh God, this is super recent. 2023. This happened, just a year ago. According to Lincolnshire police, then, at February hearing, he pleaded guilty to the charge. At the same hearing, a second man, 28-year-old Joshua Hancock, pleaded guilty to the disposal of the corpse with an intent to obstruct or prevent a coroner's inquest.
So he got his buddy to help him.
And that buddy pleaded. It was at a hearing, a second man, 28-year-old Joshua Hancock, pleaded guilty to disposal of the corpse with the intent to obstruct or to prevent a coroner's inquest. Yes.
And it sounds like a couple of dudes that took
now, this guy looks like a murderer.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see him.
This guy looks like a monster. Like, look at...
yeah. Oh.
He has, like, the flat lips, that doughy look to his face. Even his
hollow eyes.
The hollow eyes, the deadpan stare. Look at his ears. He got weird ears, too. Like, his earlobes curl upward. Like, he looks like he's, like, trying to turn into, like, a Fairly Odd Parents character or some shit. Like, he has, he got a weird look to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, he looks crooked in a weird way. You look at, the cheekbone on the right compared to the left. Look at the bridge of his nose. It looks like it's also pushing towards that side, like his face is trying to, like...
his head, too. Like, the right or the left side of his head, because we're looking at it differently, it looks like it curvatures more towards the right.
Yeah, like his whole head is bending weirdly.
Yeah.
Like, even look at his chin. His, chin is going more left, like it's curving, like his head's trying to curve.
And it's a deep cleft upwards.
God damn. This dude yeah. No offense to anybody that looks like this guy, but he looks like a fucking serial killer.
Yeah, he 100%
because
does.
He kills his wife, chops her up into 200 pieces, then asks somebody to dispose of them. Nobody came in and cut her up for him. He did the cutting up, and then he asked for his buddy to dispose of the body. During the hearing, Metzen said that after killing Bramley, which was his wife's maiden name, he kept her remains, which had been cut into over 200 pieces in the couple's flat for about a week before paying Hancock to dispose of her body, the BBC reports. Following Bramley's murder, records show that Metzen took money out of her bank account and conducted online searches including what benefits do I get if my wife has died, and can someone haunt me after they die, the BBC reported. That was his search history.
What? The reason I was flabbergasted for a moment.
What benefits do I get if my wife has died, and can someone haunt me after they die?
Yeah, the consequences can.
Oh, fucking god damn, dude. This dude is a fucking psycho.
Oh, he 100% is.
I am glossing a bit over some of the parts of the story here just to get to the main parts. Her family also said that the pair's marriage had broken down irretrievably. Irretrievably. That's a weird way of putting it. Since their 2021, I don't even know how to, nuptials? I think that's how you pronounce it. Nuptials?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
What the fuck are nuptials?
Your wedding vows.
Oh.
It's just a fancier way of saying wedding vows.
Oh. I just always knew them as vows, not nuptials. Kind of sound like part of the tit, you know? You got the nipple, you got the areola, then you got the nuptials.
You got the nuptials.
Yeah. Bramley's body was first discovered in the river of Whitham in March 2023 when somebody walking by the scene noticed a plastic bag floating in the water, including one container, a human hand, per the BBC officials later recovered. So they found a floating bag, including one containing a human hand in it. So somebody saw this little baggie in the river floating by, and they said, I'll take that. And they just took it, pulled it ashore, found a bunch of meat and a human hand in it. Recovering 224 remains of the body, but some were never recovered, the outlet said, so there's a lot of her still missing. Prior to the discovery, authorities have been called to the couple's flat out of the corners for Brimley's welfare. Upon arrival, officers noticed the scent of aroma of bleach as well as bloodstains in the kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom. The BBC reported the stains were later revealed to be Brimley's blood. So this guy really fucking... The flat was a bloodbath. It was in the bathroom, obviously, so that's probably where the dismemberment happened, but It was also in the kitchen and in the bedroom. So through my thought process was this happens in the bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Takes her to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Then he goes to the kitchen to get the tools. So there was probably just...
And he goes to the kitchen to clean off the tools too.
Yeah, so it most likely originated in the bedroom, dragged her to the bathroom, and then got blood in the kitchen after grabbing tools and cleaning. So that's where my mind immediately went.
I merely just want to know what his reasoning was behind this, because I want to know what stupid reason he concocted in his head for this.
It's probably stupid bullshit. I don't know, but why does anybody murder somebody and chop them up into over 200 pieces?
Well, I mean, obviously he wanted to be haunted by her and get her money.
He probably didn't want to be haunted. He was probably like, can they haunt me? Maybe he found... Maybe he didn't want that. God, but I don't know. Some fucking lunatics out there, dude. They think that they're doing it all. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's just, I don't get it. Looking at the guy, I can't say that I get it, but he just looks like a powder keg waiting to go off.
Yeah. Prior to discovery, they go there. When officers arrived at the flat, Metzen told them Bramley said she had left home with a mental health support group and joked that she may be hiding under the bed. Per the BBC, she was last seen alive in a CCTV footage on March 17th, 2023. Metzen, who was convicted for previous offenses against partners in 2013, 2016, and 2017, also told police that Bramley had abused him, showing officers a bite mark on his arm, per the BBC. In court on April 5th, prosecutor Gordon Asbent, KC, stated that the mark suggested it happened while he was restraining her in a headlock because of the angle of the bite. He stated that that she was abusing him as well, and there was the bite mark on the inner part of the forearm, but at that angle, it was most likely due to him strangling her from behind or abusing her. And also, there are 3 accounts of him in 2013, 16, and 17 where he also abused other women who came forward.
Yeah, lock this guy up for like ever. Just ever. Yeah, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be living.
During the same proceeding, Bramley's mother, Annette Bramley, told Metzen he had condemned the family to a life sentence of grief. Per BBC, the heinous way in which she was murdered and dismembered has left us in such unimaginable pain, she added. Metzen and Hancock will now be sentenced on April 8th, Lincolnshire police told People in the statement. So, I don't know his sentence. This wasn't updated at all. We'll have to do it in an update just to see what became of this man.
Yeah, because I'm curious.
He has so much evidence weighed against him, so many people stating against him that he's just a no good piece of shit.
Yeah.
And this fucking loser, this absolute fucking doofus looking piece of shit who I could bury my fist into his skull and obliterate his head in a single punch, did this to multiple women, not the cutting up, but just abuse.
Yeah.
Multiple abuse. This fucking loser.
Yep. I mean, to be perfectly honest, like I have pretty sure seen guys like him before too.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say every single person is like this, but a lot of them, they have issues with anger that are like him.
Yeah, and he just looks like a hollow fucking human. Physically, mentally, emotionally, he looks like a hollow fucking. He looks like there's a skeleton, like a skin stretched over a skeleton with barely any muscles or meat beyond there. It just looks like a false human.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like they even belong on this
a poorly masqueraded skeleton.
Yeah, poorly masqueraded monster from God knows where.
Whew.
And finally, speaking of monsters that seem like they're from not of this world.
It's time, isn't it?
Oh, it's time to talk about it. To talk about old news. Old news. It was a late night on August 21st, 1955. At Hopkinsville Police Station in southwest Kentucky, a large extended farming family known as the Suttons came rushing into the station. There was Billy Ray Taylor, 21, and his 18-year-old wife. They both had come from Pennsylvania to visit Lucky Sutton, who Billy had worked with in a traveling carnival. The Suttons' 50-year-old widow and matriarch, Glennie Lankford, her 2 sons and their wives, a brother-in-law, and the 3 younger children of the family, ages 12, 10, and 7, all breathless and panicked, were questioned about what was wrong, and so each stated their retelling of the story of a terrifying siege on their home by otherworldly beings, a detailed story that was seen as strange and baffling. This is the story of the Kentucky Goblins. The duration of the encounter lasted for several hours. In Kelly, Kentucky, within a tiny rural hamlet, was the Sutton home, a 3-room house without running water, telephone lines, TV, radios, or even books. On a hot Sunday evening around 7 p.m., Sutton's family friend Billy Ray Taylor was fetching a pail of water from the backyard well, when all of a sudden he saw a silvery object, direct quote, real bright with an exhaust all colors of the rainbow. I don't know what the fuck that meant, but he said there was a silvery object with an exhaust of all colors of the rainbow, meaning it must have been irradiating this color from it, from the rear of it. Billy later recounted it came silently towards the house, passed over it, and stopped in the air, and then dropped straight to the ground. Quickly coming back into the house, Billy would tell everyone what he had just seen, but everyone, including his wife, which is funny, didn't take Billy Ray seriously and laughed off his UFO encounter. His own wife was like, "You fucking dumb, Billy." Like,
you've been hitting the sauce, Billy.
Like they were just like, "Billy, you're dumb as shit." Imagine you come in, you're just like, guys, I saw a UFO, and your own wife, like, everybody laughs at you. Your own wife laughs at you and goes, "Shut the fuck up, Plague. Sit down."
But I did. I
And they
seen
go,
it.
Yeah. Calm down. Sit down. It's hot out. You're dumb. An hour later, everything seemed to be fine until the dogs started incessantly barking. Lucky and Billy Ray went to the backyard door and looked out into the woods and noticed a strange glow approaching close from the tree line. As it did, Billy and Lucky saw that it was a small humanoid creature, about 3.5 feet tall, had oversized head, almost perfectly round, its arms extended to almost the ground, its hands had less fingers but more talons, like the whole finger was like a claw. Its oversized eyes glowed with a yellowish light. The body gave off an eerie shimmer in the moonlight, they said, as if it was made of silvery metal. And like any other hicks in the woods seeing something they didn't understand, they retrieved 2 guns, a 20-gauge shotgun and a .22 rifle. They then immediately fired at it, and when doing so, the creature raised its arms as if it was surrendering. While being held at gunpoint, the creature continued to approach. As it approached, the witness said, they never really walked right. It came towards them. It was more like it was floating an inch or two off the ground. So instead of this thing like walking like a robot or a person, it was just kind of like gliding after them, but slowly, like Roomba styled. But as it approached the back door, it did a flip and scrambled upright and went into the darkness. I didn't know what they meant by it until I really sat there and thought about it. It did a flip, scrambled upright, and went into the darkness. Meaning it didn't flip and turn around and run off into the woods. It went up, like it floated into the sky doing that. Scrambling around in the sky. That's all I can imagine. Like, this thing does a little flip, scrambles floating upwards and into the dark. Woohoo! Yeah, like that. Like, I imagine like, it just, like disappeared somewheres. A few minutes after that, the men saw a similar creature appear in the side window, and once again they fired, blasting through the window, destroying the screen and the contents of the glass. The bullets tinked off, and Billy and Lucky knew the creature seemed to be unaffected by the bullets. The little man again flipped and then disappeared, meaning it was just... It just kept getting shot and spiraling around like it was in 0 G's and would disappear.
This thing sounds like it's just fucking with them at this point.
Yeah, it almost seems that way when I'm reading this story. It's almost comical to think about. It almost reminds me of like something you would see in like the Gremlins or you know,
I was gonna say some like early to late 90s like children's movie of like somebody being like, "I'm gonna get you," and the creature is just messing with them.
Yeah, like just some weird nonsense B movie, like sci-fi horror movie, where they like shoot it and it goes, and it just like spirals away, like floating off, and they're just like, "Did you see it?" And they're like panicking, like they've never seen anything in the, like it's the scariest thing they ever witnessed, though they're just shooting it and it's like flipping around and disappearing. Because how fast are they? It never states that they're moving quickly. It says that they just kind of flip and scramble away. So it's kind of funny. After nailing a shot, Taylor stepped outside under the small, overhanging roof, looking to see where the creature went. As he stood there, those behind him screamed in horror and grabbed Taylor, pulling him back as they saw a small hand come down from the overhanging of the roof and touch Taylor's hair. While the family pulled Taylor back, Lucky rushed up and fired a shot through the overhang. Then another one of these creatures in a nearby tree floated down to the ground and scurried back into the woods. So there was more of them. Not just one, but there was a small group of them. For several hours, the Suttons, alongside Billy Ray and his wife, fended off these creatures from getting into the farmhouse, blocking doors, windows, and every time they came back and got too close to the house, Billy or Lucky would fire at them with bullets still doing nothing to their physical form. Just every time they shot them, it was just a tink, a hit, or just, but no holes, no dents, no scratches. It was just they shot them and it didn't seem to affect them whatsoever. By 11 p.m., finally, running low on ammo and mental fortitude, the families made a break for the cars and hightailed it all the way to Hopkinsville's police station at top speed. Just these people got into the cars and would not slow down for anybody. They just fucking drove all the way there nonstop. The only thing they could do was just try to escape these things. After this, the local police chief called for backup, and his team was joined by by the Suttons' farmhouse, by state police, military police from nearby Fort Campbell, and a photographer from Kentucky News Era. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's ERA. I think it's just Era. Yeah. They found extensive damage to the entire farmhouse, bullet holes, blown out windows, and a fuck ton of ammo casings, but no other evidence whatsoever. Neither could they find proof of heavy drinking. As it was funny that you brought up he dipped too much into the sauce. It was actually, according to the Sutton matriarch, liquor was not allowed within the farmhouse. So there was no proof of heavy drinking, just in case this was a late night case of southern drunkenness and dumbassery. So once the police and others left, the creatures returned between 2:30 a.m. and daybreak. Miss Langford, the matriarch, said she saw one constantly glowing by her bedside window, its claw-like hand on the screen of the window, just touching it as if it was like asking her if it could come in, or like it had a desire to get to her, but it never broke through the window. That's the one thing about these creatures. They don't seem to attack. They only slowly floated after them. And when that was brought up, I think it was Billy Ray Taylor that brought it up with Lucky, saying it doesn't look like they're dangerous or that they're going to attack. But Lucky said that might be the case, but he didn't want to know or want to think what would happen if it got to the house or like into it. So they didn't take their chances and would always shoot at these fucking things. That's why they never, even if they were goofy, it was just pure instinct not to let them close. In the following days, after radio stations and newspapers, including the New York Times itself, reported the incident, hundreds of curiosity seekers descended on the farm, often ridiculing the Suttons as ignorant or fraudulent. When a no trespassing sign, multiple no trespassing signs, proved useless at discouraging them, the family tried charging admission 50 cents for entering the grounds, and $1 for information, 10 for taking pictures. After that, skeptics blasted them as fortune-seeking fraudsters, essentially. Because people keep breaking onto their farmland and go, all right, if you keep breaking onto our farmland, here's a no trespassing sign. And even when that proved fruitless, they're like, you can come on the land, but you have to pay for being on our land. And then they said, you faked it. You fucking faked it.
You're just a big old phony.
essentially. After a while, because of all the humiliation, harassment, the Suttons would pretty much decide to sell their farmhouse, the land, and get away from those who consistently came after them, which is a huge, it's kind of a shame to hear about that. To be
Yeah,
pretty
it
much
is.
run out of your own community, your own home, your own farmland, after something that was very much seemingly to be real, to me at least, because farmers don't go blasting the fuck out of their house that costs them money, ammo that costs them money, damages that'll cost even more money. Like, you just don't shoot your house to pieces and be like, I did it as a joke,
Ho ho.
funny me. Like, especially in 1955, like, these guys had 8 family members in a 3-room house, the only place they had.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem right.
Yeah,
And let alone let your friends come in and destroy your house with you.
yeah, but there were 3 kids in there too, ages, what, I'd just say 12, was it 12, 10, and 7, something like that.
Ranging
Yeah, 12,
from,
10, and 7. Yeah, like, the kids are in there and they're shooting guns off. They're not going to be doing that and putting anybody's lives at risk unless they're trying to defend them. That's why this story seems so believable to me in a strange way. There was much more to the aftermath of the story, but it just talks about ufologists, like UFOologists, talking about, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, Project Blue Book, but that's an entirely different can of worms to deep dive into at a later date, because that spans like years, and Project Blue Book is still brought up today.
Yeah.
Allen Hynek is brought up today. Like, he is like the grandfather of like alien conspiracy theories against the government and shit like that. Like, J. Allen Hynek, he was like, I'll just tell you this much, he was one of those guys. He was a scientist sent out by the government to disprove UFOs, and he was a huge skeptic, but the more and more evidence he saw of it, it turned him into a believer. Like, it was that strong. Like, he even was just like, yeah, send me out there, I'll prove that these things aren't real. Saw so much of it and said, no, this shit is real. Like, this is impossibly real.
Man,
That's the story of the Kentucky Goblins.
I kind of love it.
I do too. It's such a fucking fun little tale to be like 7-hour siege of little robotic looking men that look like goblins coming out of the woods and trying to get into your house. They're scrambling, floating about and shit. It's such a fun little story. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites.
Just the thought of them going,
Yeah, they're just scrambling off into the darkness, floating away. I love that shit. That's why it had that like schlocky 80s sci-fi horror feel to it when I read it, and I loved it.
yeah.
I'm
No,
surprised you never
100%
heard of the Kentucky Goblins.
I've never heard of the Kentucky Goblins. Like, and I made sure that after you mentioned the name of it, that I didn't even go and look it up.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be absolutely surprised
Yeah, God.
for this. And boy howdy, it was worth it.
I feel it. It's always worth it because I told you about it and I was just like, try not to look it up. Don't spoil yourself, because this is a fun little story to sit down and to hear about. Oh, God. But that's our news that is brand new and very old. Some of it exciting and fun and whimsical, whether it was Bigfoot becoming a county cryptid, the Kentucky Goblins and the stories of old, and that of the horrific true crime of the world through that of the real monsters that are all around us. And luckily, you survived long enough to hear it. Let's hope that you keep surviving long enough to hear it next time as we continue our bi-weekly little podcast of the strange, the unknown, and very much the otherworldly. Blake, thank you so much, like always, for joining me on this journey. Thank you, the viewer, for coming on by. Like this, share this, and with your support, it can spread farther reaches, the ears of many, and it might even help us do it a lot more rather than bi-weekly. If people support this podcast as much as they can, the more we get to do it. And the more we get better at it, too, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just starting off with this stuff, so.
Yeah, this is our second one, but for our third one, our next one, be prepared for our first guest. As we pull our editor and creator of the intro to our lovely little show here, Elfie, who we will be talking about Floridian cryptids. A little taste for you there, a little bit of something to anticipate for the next time. And like always, thank you so much for listening. Anything you want to say, Play?
Stay weird, be sane, and don't kill anybody.
Please don't kill anybody. Just leave.
Just leave.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.